Okay, we're live. Hello.
Hello.
Here we are, another Wednesday. We're switching up the format a little bit. We're having a chit chat, aren't we? Fashion. What's on your fashion mind? So, hello, Petra. What's on your fashion mind?
What's on my fashion mind? Is the fact that it's the second day that we were able to open shop, and we are trying to operate within the prescribed guidelines, which are a bit counterintuitive to how boutiques actually operate. So we're going to see how it goes.
So
when I'm talking about Sorry?
Your boutique is in Slovenia, in Ljubliana.
Yeah, it's in Slovenia, right? Yeah.
So what are the guidelines? Because you're opening before the rest of us.
Well, my shop is quite small, and basically they've given the go-ahead for smaller square footage shops. So my shop is a boutique, meaning stock is limited. A certain style would be available, sometimes only in one size, one version. So the guidelines to quarantine for 2 days any item that a customer has tried and not bought might mean that, all of a sudden you don't have any stock for the next day, let's say next 2 days. If you've been lucky and you had quite a few customers coming in and trying, new the items on display. Yeah. So that's one. Also, one of the guidelines is like try to get your customer to make the purchase as quick as possible. It's not customer service. This is not how it works. You want to give your customer time, and also obviously the distance, that you have to observe the wearing of the mask, of course. Then, having to disinfect any plastic or metal parts on a dress. You have silken dresses. What you're going to do? You can't spray them with disinfectant.
Wow.
Things like that. What else? Oh yeah, individual customers. So the customers to come in individually and so forth. So we shall see. We have no idea how rigorously these, because at this point we don't know if these are regulations or recommendations. So how rigorously they're going to be
implemented.
Implemented and checked as well. But it's the first. It's the second day that we are open.
So have you had clients?
I had one customer yesterday, one today. So we shall see.
And did they try anything?
Yes, a dress which is now in quarantine. Yeah.
So do you have a quarantine? So you have a quarantine rail?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It might be infected, so I'm far too close to the item.
So that's really strange. Can you have more than one customer in the shop, or do you have to be?
No, not well. It's again. Are these recommendations or something that we should follow to the letter? It's not clear. The general inspectors as well aren't clear. There are other businesses like beauticians that have opened as well, and hairdressers that I think there is more of a concern how these businesses would operate safely with their customers than necessarily clothes shops. So we might be able to kind of do our own things, obviously with safety of the customer in mind, but not being so.
And what about your designers? How do they feel about? Have you been speaking to them? Do they want to put more stock in your shop, or how are they feeling?
Well, they're feeling like, see how it goes. On one hand, we really will see in the next few weeks how the psychological factor of being shut in so long has influenced. behavior, like spending behavior of our customers. There's a theory that, you know, people will go wild. Fine, yeah, so everything is open, so I've got this chunk of money that I need to spend. You know, I'm not too sure about that, because the future is still uncertain. You know, there's talk about, we're not talking, it's gonna, a recession is coming, so there is a feeling of having to conserve and preserve. So we shall see what happens in the next few weeks, but absolutely my designers are not making up, because they all have micro manufacturing. So in terms of manufacturing, they're quite flexible, and they decided they're not making a high summer range at all. They are thinking about autumn season, rather than we're going to be shut over the summer. That's the decision we made. Also because over the summer the trade is usually from tourists, and they are not going to be coming. So.
Okay, hold on. So as a shop, you have made a decision to shut your shop this summer?
Yes. Well,
okay.
We were going to shut it for a few weeks, but now we're going to probably extend for the whole of July and August.
Yeah, makes sense if there's no tourism.
Yeah, I mean, the way we are set up, because I am a shop owner, I'm the shop manager, but my designers, we are a collective, and we share the cost, basically, the running costs. So it's a joint decision, because obviously to make stock to sell to a public that is not there.
Yeah.
You know, it's also an investment. So yeah, the joint decision is to just close it over the summer, and really take this time to kind of strategize for the future. You know.
Yeah.
Maybe invest more in. Or research in what ways we can operate better online, because with the particular product selection that we have, doesn't lend itself to online sales too well. So it's as I said, just we need to come up with a strategy how to basically design specifically for online. And concentrating on maybe bespoke pieces and high-end, really luxury pieces as those that we sell face to face.
Interesting. But what happens to your overheads? Because you would have overheads, right, for the rent and all that?
Oh yeah, well, I usually have a shopkeeper.
Okay.
She's on furlough.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we're a small business. We are completely dependent on trade in order to pay for the wages.
Yeah.
If the trade has dropped, if our income from traders has dropped significantly, that we cannot
operate,
pay a decent wage, then the state kicks in as a measure to preserve businesses and preserve an industry, really.
Wow, interesting. So you haven't seen any of the revenge buying and purchasing that the press have been suggesting will happen when lockdown is lifted?
No, not here, because we haven't. Well, that's the thing, you know. If you go around the block, you see a lot of 60% off, 70% off. Let's say if the revenge buying is going to happen anywhere, it's going to be people trying to, pick up a bargain. We are not doing that. We're not that kind of business.
Yeah.
So this is one of the reasons why we decided to almost like to preserve the brand, you know, the SanConcept brand and the brand of the brands, individual brands of our designers. we decided to rather not produce anymore for the summer, close the shop, and reopen when hopefully all this discount madness passes.
Yeah. So this is interesting, and actually we have a question from someone. When we announced we were doing this, we got a few questions. So one of the questions was, what will happen to the unsold stock that is in shop? So being that you're a stock shop owner, what
well, our stock is going to be just packed and reintroduced next season.
Okay.
So if we're talking about not fast fashion, we're talking about fashion in the best sense of the word. Quality clothes designed with style in mind, not seasonality in mind, always going to be relevant. You know, the quality of material is not going to deteriorate because it's chosen because it's quality. The quality of workmanship, obviously put into it, is not deteriorating either. If you design with a customer in mind, with a functionality in mind, with style in mind, and not some seasonal fad, it's going to always be relevant. You know, so and we are not the only one to operate that way. There are boutiques up and down UK that have the same philosophy. We do not discount, we just pack it up and sell it again next season, because good design is good design anytime, any year.
What do you think will happen to the fast fashion? And also, I mean, hold on, it's not just fast fashion, because some of the luxury brands who actually don't do any sales and discounts, what would they do? What do you think will happen to all of that stock?
Well, a few things. First, obviously, discounting as low as they can afford without jeopardizing, obviously, the brand value.
Yeah.
Then the other one is TK Maxx. Let's say what's the model? But basically, wholesale discount. Yeah, basically that, which is already a regular way to get rid of quite legitimately excess stock. It really depends how much excess stock they have, you know, because those who have counted on Far Eastern, like sales based on trade from the Far East being mainly tourists, like there's brands that are almost wholly dependent on that market, like the Burberry. Also, for instance, Liberty's shop, they have built a huge following in the Far East, and I do recall somebody telling me that they get whole tour buses coming into Liberty's shop and they just buy everything on the ground floor. So I don't know. Again, it really depends. If it's a heritage brand, maybe they will think in the same line that we are thinking. You know, we are a heritage brand. The styles that the majority, our flagship, let's say, not flagship, like our main core product is timeless, for instance, and we just pack it and sell it next season. They might think like that.
Do you think any burning might take place?
Sorry?
Do you think any burning of stock might take place?
I think, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. I mean, yeah, yes.
Wow.
I think, yeah, there will be some burning of stock, because even these high-end brands, you know, just think of their t-shirts.
Yeah.
You know, a t-shirt is a t-shirt, and they usually invest huge volumes into a particular style to make it worthwhile to produce, and these are very much seasonal items, very much kind of like design fashion vehicles, let's say, seasonal fashion vehicles that you cannot reintroduce next season. Designs can be so recognizable that again you can't. I mean, maybe at TK Maxx you can sell them, but you know, it might be that they really on such low cost items that they have no other choice but to burn.
Gosh, that would be sad. I don't know. I mean,
I'm speculating,
yeah.
but I think just because of it's such a PR no doesn't mean that they can't find ways of doing it on the hush-hush.
Yeah. But I just wonder whether there isn't an opportunity for these brands. They obviously have their presence in major cities, in certain countries, etc. But it's a big, wide world. And if they were to maybe discount it, create a network of agents on a secondary level and reach into cities, smaller cities where they don't have any presence and sell that way. I don't know. I just think that maybe there's... It's
Dessy, but just think that logistics are incredibly expensive, you know, to move stock from one end to the other, and logistics are going to be even more expensive now, you know, because the air travel, the air transportation is
it's changing.
It's going to be more expensive.
Yeah.
So logistics, long supply chains, long distribution chains are going to be more expensive. So if you move goods from point A to point B, you need to know that at point B, that market is big enough, vibrant enough to actually consume.
Yeah.
So and we're going to see an overall global reduction in consumption.
Yeah.
At this point, we do have a huge excess of goods.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the next 6 months and the next year, it's going to be a case of, you know, osmosis.
Yeah. Actually,
it's going to be volatile, and I think we won't get a proper reading of what the future of fashion consumerism is going to be until this period has passed. Because I said, you know, there might be a revenge buying, but in the sense I'm going to pick up like a bargain. Oh my God, the first time in my life I can afford a Vuitton, let's say.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that customer is going to be
repeat customer,
loyal to Vuitton. You know.
Yeah.
And also we might see huge buying on this, like brands, discounted brands on a premium and luxury level, and less amount on the fast fashion. But that doesn't mean that fast fashion is dead altogether.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So I mean, when I say fast fashion, let's talk about mass-produced fashion. Let's talk about affordable. Let's talk in nice terms. Affordable global brands, that have an opportunity to clean up their act. There's a lot of them that their business model just cannot allow for to all of a sudden grow a heart. How should I put it?
But you know, also cleaning up your act means making changes that don't necessarily translate in money. And right now, you know, with everything going on, keeping up that cash flow is so important. So as much as I'd like to be idealistic, I just can't really see it happening on a mass scale. Maybe it will happen for some brands.
Well, we'll see, really. As I said, I don't think whatever we're going to experience in the next 6 or 12 months, it might not yet be an indicator of you know, the future evolution of fashion.
So relating
but
to
there's certain. I just want to say there are certain long-term trends that have been coming. You know, that maybe now is the right time to be implementing these new strategies into your business.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We watch it closely. Another question, which kind of is a good place to maybe ask it now. But how do you think designers will be designing? You know, would they design less? Would they design more? So, for example, with your group of designers as part of your collective, what kind of discussions have you been having in terms of future collections or introduction of new designs?
Designing less or designing more? Maybe designing more and maybe doing more designing more old school, let's say. You know,
what do you mean by that?
Yeah, well, closer. Well, think how like Coco Chanel has started, for instance. You know, so a lot of my clients, they do have a loyal following of customers with whom they have very personal interactions.
Yeah.
So also made to order, you know, made bespoke. So this is going to be their top tier product offering, you know, where together with the item that is designed, the customer gets the personal experience with the designer. And that is likely going to be now a bit dearer than it was before. Let's say 10-15% more. Yeah.
Why would that increase be? Where's the increase coming from? Raw materials?
Yeah, because well, that's going to sound a bit, well, I'm going to just say it because it are investment pieces, and when you invest more, you know, you expect more in return. Yeah, but you know what you have invested in. So yeah, to basically put it to on a level of an investment. And if we say we're still with Slovene designers, we're still talking about I don't know, an evening dress being below €1,000. You know. So, and you can see on matches online, they sell dresses for €1,000, like that's their median price.
Yeah.
So we're still not talking about, I think it's got to do with educating the public, where they start to, you know, evaluate the work at the correct level. Because when they come to your studio and they see the machines behind which the seamstress makes the clothes, they see the whole system. They can understand these are, you know, that it's an ecosystem that they are supporting with their investment, and fair wages, you know, fair payment, quality materials. That's the thing. That there's no point in skimping on materials when you have to invest into good workmanship.
Yeah.
It's one and the other that makes for an item that will stand the test of time, that will ultimately, you know, end up in a second-hand shop like 20-30 years from now. There's not going to be any H&M clothing in there, you know. So yeah, I mean, I think it's only fair. Well, before we try to be as accessible as possible, and our designers will be accessible through ready-made clothing. Yeah, but when you get the personalized experience of the designer,
but
making something for you, bespoke.
Those higher costs, they're not going to be so accessible for most people, especially at the time of recession, right? So
yeah, but most people as well will not have such pretenses, you know. A need for an evening dress. I mean, I haven't worn an evening dress, I don't know how many years, you know. But there's an echelon. That's basically it, you know. Those higher earners, and there always will be higher earners, that don't think twice about spending I don't know, €1,000 on a product, of a like global brand, let's say, high-end brand, which on an item that is still produced in maybe hundreds and thousands, you know,
Yeah.
they spend that much for the label, for the benefit of having that label. They can, on a local level, with the local designers, local economy, spend that same amount of money and get much more.
Interesting. But what about the ready-to-wear? Would your designers launch collections? Are you talking about it? Would they design?
Sorry, the door to the shop is open, so we get all the noise in the background. Well, the collections are small anyway, you know. They obviously they plan the season, they have some core styles, and then they even with the ready to wear, they're very open to customer suggestions. So for instance, you know, they can change a color of a particular style. They are still very flexible, but they're not to the point where they would drastically alter a pattern. Right. So they are very much, sorry about that, they very much respond to
demand,
to the needs at the moment, you know.
Interesting. That's interesting, because I think, you know, how manufacturing is quite close to my heart. That would have an impact on manufacturing big time, right? Because when you mentioned the cost will increase, I thought you would mention the increasing cost coming from manufacturers and suppliers, because I've been talking to a few suppliers and manufacturers, and they already are saying how they're worried that cost will escalate. Some manufacturers already have staff asking for more money for, you know, don't know why. I need to find that one.
I think that
they would be getting less orders. They already, whoever is open, is getting less orders. It's more sporadic. So it's interesting how.
Well, yeah. I mean, the demand for goods is gonna drop. Yeah, with smaller demand, you manufacture less. The cost of manufacturing is higher. Ergo, the cost of goods needs to be higher. It's mathematics, really. So people cannot expect the prices of clothing, of any kind of goods, really, to be dropping. You know, they will be rising. The fast fashion, in terms of cheap fashion, it's that bubble has burst.
Do you think it's burst?
I think so. I think to the large extent. I think if you want a white T-shirt, a black trousers, I don't know, a black jumper, yes, those items you can buy. You be able to buy cheaply. These are generic items. Anything that is designed, special color, I don't know, it's special, like details to the pattern or print, God, this is going to be more expensive. Of course it is. Yeah. So there's the generic item mass produced makes perfect sense, but design added, yes, it's going to be more expensive.
Yeah, interesting. I was reading this week an article by Mary Portas, who is this kind of retail expert in the UK. And she was saying, it was an opinion piece for the FT, and she was talking about how post this period of time, retail is going to change, which we know. And she was saying how mediocrity will go away and there'll be less shops, but they will have reasons for existing. And it reminded me, I went last year I went to Paris, and I'm not, you know, it's not my favorite city, but for some reason last year, for the first time, I saw how many independent boutiques and shops they had, as opposed to the mass chains that we see in the UK. And her article reminded me of this, and I wonder whether that's the future, and that's probably a good thing, right? More independent specialist shops, more unique and interesting.
But what is also worth analyzing is this independent shops like ours. You know, how are they set up? Are they a regular shop where basically they buy in stock from designers, multi-brands, and so forth, or are they shops owned by designers or designer collectives? Because that's the thing. I mean, where design can be cheaper is if there are no intermediaries. If basically the designer more or less, or the manufacturer, the producer more or less can sell directly to the customer. So these kind of models, shop in shop, let's say, or the way we have in SanConcept, where the designers I run the shop, but these designers are
your partners.
Co-partners. They basically use the shop as a showroom, as a showroom for direct sales, and as a vehicle to drive business onto their online sales as well. And as far as I'm concerned, that is not, they're not taking profit away from me, because any profit is actually substantial profit that is made through the shop belongs to the designer. If the sales are really good, I get a percentage as an incentive, obviously. But otherwise, the costs are covered, which means that more the designers share the responsibility, but also they get a bigger cut of the profit of sales.
So that's quite a similar model you operate to Wolf and Badger, but probably better for the designers.
But it's much more a collectivist.
Interesting. Cool. What else? What else in the news? Well, in the UK, the news have been quite dominated by the whole Victory Beckham saga and celebrity brands. You know what I think is really interesting, that I think people fail to understand that a lot of these celebrity brands actually don't necessarily belong to those celebrity names.
And she doesn't.
They have investors and people who run the business, who swing the decision making. They're just a face and a name, right, of a business. And that's when there's a backlash of certain decisions. It come probably from them, right?
And also the whole issue with the furlough. As I said, my shop assistant is on furlough, so I'm in the shop, and I've got the help of 2 mentorees to kind of help me out with the hours. But people that I mentor basically, and they are in the shop like volunteering. So I mean, the whole issue with furlough is if she are, I mean, first and foremost, it's a question of 30 people that she was putting on furlough, out of a staff for 120. I would speculate that those 30 people there, you probably retail personnel, I would think. Not necessarily, doesn't really matter. But she is within her right to, as a business, to ask for subsidy. The question is, if she's given the aid by the government, if she qualifies, as somebody who has herself and probably her shareholders substantial personal wealth, if she, under those conditions, she still qualifies, is she the one who's in the wrong, or is the system wrong? So really, I mean, okay, she has pedaled back, fine, because her whole brand is built on her personal brand value and image. So obviously she had to kind of preserve good face, although
it hasn't really worked.
Damage has been done. But she was completely in her right to, or the business manager, to put because there's two categories. You can put your dependees on furlough, and you basically you cover the 80% of the wages, you know, without government subsidy, or you ask for government subsidy, and if you grant it, if under their you know, if you satisfy their criteria, then all is good, you know. But the question is, are then the criteria set too lax, let's say? Because Denmark, for instance,
everything's been put together so quickly.
I know, well, same here. Yeah.
But it's funny how people are making knee-jerk reactions, not thinking through decisions, I suppose, and how the whole celebrity has positive effects sometimes, but it can also be a real drug, right?
Well, I think she's well aware of that now, that when you're in the spotlight, you know, every action is going to be scrutinized. I mean, you might be. She got so much flack for not smiling. Come on, so, you know, it's like the girl with the perpetual pout, you know, make her smile or whatever. So yeah, I mean, she's more than used to being dragged through. But in this particular case, I think it was an over exaggeration, because ultimately, if she was given the aid on this set of circumstances, then it's obviously the system that is not discerning enough.
But well, there's a difference, because as a business entity, she wasn't profitable, so she would qualify. So
yes,
so
she hasn't been profitable for a while.
Yeah, but so where do we draw the line between a business that has a celebrity face? Just because they're a celebrity face doesn't mean that their personal wealth has to be invested in a business that maybe doesn't even belong to them, which is the case with.
Yeah, but then still, you know, when you have a business that is not profitable, yet the shareholders have considerable personal wealth, the government could decide and say, do you know what, we're not going to prioritize you. First, we're going to take care of those who have everything invested in their business, you know, including their personal wealth in their business, not independently sitting God knows what Cayman Island, you know, and then maybe there's something left. Because ultimately, because I'm a business owner myself, I'm surrounded by business owners, you know, and there is no personal and there is no division there, almost, you know. When push was the word, well, when in hard times you take up a personal loan to overcome some sort of business cash flow that can happen in any time, you do that. Yeah, and so same way, somebody like Victoria Beckham, okay, she might not be cash rich, but with her equity, she can get a bank loan much more. I mean, she could get a bank loan basically to cover.
Yeah, it's a big topic, because I don't know. It really depends on how much you want to invest and put your neck on the line for a business that is not fully your own, a business that is not profitable, but it's more of a vanity maybe. So it's an
but exactly that, you know. Do we even know to what extent does she own her own brand? You know, what is her role?
I figured that it was in the 40-something%, but and it's not particularly about her, but I just think it's really interesting how now we are going to start seeing how these celebrity brands, how much they're not owned by them, right?
And also, you know, it's not just like ownership in the classical sense, but she's not the designer. She doesn't design. She's not the designer of her brand. She has a team of designers. She has had from day one a team of designers. Actually, the first season that she came out with a brand that she designed, it was slated. It was horrible.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it only went, and funnily enough, for the first 5 seasons, I think 6 seasons, basically the designer who worked with her, that helped her put Victoria Beckham on the fashion map as a bona fide like brand, was a Slovene designer, Natasha Chagal, who previously worked with Stella McCartney, who worked at now I forgot now, but basically, you know, there's whenever you have a celebrity suddenly becoming really big in fashion, they have a team of talented designers behind. Sure. So in terms of owning the brand, you know, emotional ownership of the brand, emotional investment in the brand is not altogether there.
So it's more of a business transaction, really.
It is, as Piers Morgan has said it, it's a vanity project.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, it's a vanity project that might bring some money. Let's capitalize on the popularity, you know. And in some cases, for the first few years, it does. Yeah. But then it needs to have more substance than just the notoriety of
it would be nice to see how many of them are going to go away, how many will not be able to survive, right?
Well, in terms of celebrity brands, you know, these brands, they usually survive as long as the celebrity survives.
Or their backers continue backing them.
Yeah, well, either them or their investors. Yeah. I mean, Victoria Beckham is part of which stable? I forgot now.
I can't remember, but I think she's
one of those big groups.
Yeah,
it's one of those big groups. You know, she's part of a portfolio.
I don't think so. No, she's not.
It's not.
No,
she's not.
There's a lot of private investors backing people like that.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Well, but still, again, private investors, you know, it's
hers. Venture capitalist sketch fund, not sketch funds, but venture capitalist private investor clubs, etc.
Yeah, you're part of a portfolio.
Yeah,
you're part of a
exactly.
portfolio, and you're part of their balancing that portfolio. Exactly. And they quite like something that is not completely. I don't know. I'm not a. This is not my expertise, but the way I understand, that's why a lot of venture capitalists invest in fashion, is because fashion is kind of a slow burner, and it suits them that it's not completely profitable. But at some point, you know, when it becomes a black hole, that's when they start culling. So we shall see. Maybe this episode, we don't know, has damaged the Victoria Beckham brand too much. Potentially, it's the last nail in the coffin, or maybe she will bounce back from it. We really don't know. It's going to be like a very interesting PR exercise to watch, really.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so let's wrap up, and we'll meet again in a couple of weeks and see what else is going on in the news. Yeah, and how your shop is doing.
Yes, I'll keep you up to date.
I hope your quarantine survives.
Yeah.
Okay. So
nice talking to you.
Yeah, me too, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. See you. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.